Hello, I'm Matt Williamson. What's going on? Sounds like we got some pretty decent news on the practice front. It doesn't look great for Ramsey or Austin, but I think everyone else is probably ready to roll as they take on the Browns and then very shortly after take on the Bengals. And I think Ramsey and Austin have a chance to be around for that game, the Thursday nighter. Who knows? We'll still see. It's not, we haven't had a Thursday report yet, so who knows? Today's podcast, I just have a whole bunch of notes, as I often do, Matt stat stuff, and I'm just going to dig right in. Steelers have a -2 point differential, and the Browns are at -50. But this is what's crazy. Every team in the AFC North currently has a negative point differential, and combined, the four teams are at a -159 point differential for the four teams in division. And that's the worst in the history of the division. There's never been a time in the history of the AFC North has collectively had a worse point differential. And these teams have only won 37% of their games, which is also the worst in division history. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. How about this? The Browns have only led on the scoreboard for 6% of their offensive plays. Only the Titans are lower. I mean, you'd think you'd get an early lead and at least have a quarter worth of plays where you're leading. I mean, they've only led for 6%. The Steelers' opponents have thrown for 308 more yards than the Steelers, and they average 0.9 more yards per attempt. They've also rushed for 168 more yards and average 0.9 more yards per rush attempt. Cleveland's opponents average 1.9 yards per pass attempt more than the Browns and have thrown double the number of passing touchdowns. It's 10-5, but still, that's double. But Cleveland is producing 0.9 more yards per rush attempt than they allow. Time of possession stuff still really scares me. The Steelers' opponents have run 54 more plays than the Steelers. They're only at 26.46 per game, only ahead of Cincinnati and Baltimore, speaking of bad teams in the division. And the Browns actually have an above average time possession. They're at 31.07. How about running plays per game? The Browns run a lot of plays. They're third most, where the Steelers run the fourth fewest plays per game. Like 13 more plays that the Browns run per game than the Steelers. Steelers' opponents run the fourth most plays, while the Browns' opponents run the fourth fewest.
Football season's finally here. Time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl? Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials, so you can join in on all the action.
Cleveland games overall. They average just 39.2 combined points scored, second fewest in the league. They're also just 536 combined yards, fewest in the league. League average game is 656.7 combined yards per game. But a Browns game's at 536. I mean, that's a ton less, 120 fewer yards in a Browns game than the league average game. As you can imagine, this is projecting to be a low-scoring game, which is what pretty much all Browns games are at this point. Just over 15% of Cleveland's plays have gained 10 or more yards. Just over 15% of Pittsburgh plays have gained 10 or more yards. They're 29th and 30th, respectively, in producing plays of 10 or more yards. Pittsburgh and Washington are the only two teams that have allowed 0 points off turnovers this season. Again, I know there's a little caveat here. The Caleb Johnson screwed up kickoff return doesn't officially count. But, okay. So you think the Steelers run a lot of 12 personnel, and they do. They're at 42.5%. But the Browns use 12 personnel noticeably higher, 50.6%. League average is only at 24%. So they're basically double league average. Steelers are third, 42.5, which is still a ton. Here's something I think is really encouraging, and maybe it's just a small sample size because the Browns D is really good. So Steelers are 8th now in red zone offense. Browns are 10th. But the Browns defense is dead last. They're giving up a conversion at 79% of the red zone trips against them. Penalties are a problem right now for the Browns. Penalized 10 times last week. The Steelers still, I know they played one less game, but they only have 19 penalties for the year, which is the lowest in the league. They were the lowest in the league last week when no one else had a bye yet. To put that in perspective, though, the Browns have played one more game, but they've been penalized almost double as much as the Steelers, 37 compared to 19. This is a little bit of a change from recent history, to say the least. In the first half of games, the Steelers are producing 14.8 points. That's fifth most. Browns are at 6 points, last in the league. So if history holds true, which I'm sure it won't, this will be like a 15-6 halftime lead for the Steelers. But in the second half, the Steelers are only producing 9.3, which is 25th best, and the Browns are bad in both halves. They're at 8.6, which is 26th best. But the second half of games, the Steelers are giving up 14.8. The Browns are giving up 13.8. So that is 25th and 26th. So these teams are allowing a lot of points in the second half. Steelers aren't scoring a lot. Browns aren't scoring a lot. But the Steelers are scoring a lot in the first half of games. I think I've told you this one that blows me away, that Dylan Gabriel is now the 10th different starting quarterback for the Browns since Baker Mayfield, which wasn't that long ago. And I bet we see 11 after this Flacco trade. I mean, I bet Sanders ends up starting a game. And the Browns re-entered the league in 1999. Gabriel was their 41st starter since this version of the Browns have existed. And to put that in perspective, that's 11 more starting quarterbacks than any other team over that span since 1999. 41 different starting quarterbacks. TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, I think that they're always going to be linked. Watt has 111 sacks for his career. Garrett's at 106.5. They are first and second, respectively, in sacks since they both entered the league. And no one else during that time has more than 85 sacks. It's Danielle Hunter's actually third since they entered the league. To Garrett's credit, though, he has the second most sacks in NFL history behind Reggie White before his 30th birthday. And he turns 30 in December. I think he needs like 5 sacks between now and his birthday to be the sack leader of when you actually turn 30. Watt already has. The Browns lead the NFL in snaps played by rookies, and it's been a really good rookie class. Last thing I got, and you probably are aware of this too. The Browns have not won a regular season, in Pittsburgh since 2003. I like doing this for division games in particular. There's just so much history, so much to go back. There's some really strong Browns trends. I think I told you this one, that since Jim Schwartz took over as their defensive coordinator, which was the 2023 season. So that means he's been their coordinator for all of 2023, all of 2024, and now, 5 games into 2025. So over that stretch, the Browns are number 1 in defensive EPA. Best defense in the league over that stretch. But last in offensive EPA during that stretch. I was joking with some buds. It's like, wouldn't it be great to have a couple beers with Myles Garrett and Schwartz and be like, so what do you really think of your situation? You guys are doing your jobs, and Schwartz has been around, to say the least. But how about a little help from the other side of the ball? All right, everyone, take care. Fun one. We'll talk soon.